All right, welcome everybody to the evening plenary of day 2 of World Unity Week. This is a day dedicated to the frequency of empowerment, and we really are so excited about today's program. It's something that we have been looking forward to over the last few months as we build up to World Unity Week 2023, New Earth Rising, and we just knew we wanted to reach out and get the voices of youth and get the voices from around the world to come and share about what youth leaders are seeing and what youth leaders are feeling and experiencing. What are their dreams and hopes and aspirations? And also, how can we, as the older generations, best support them and best nurture them? And not only do we have some amazing youth to showcase, but we also have some incredible mentors who are with the youth, who are going to be really modeling the dynamic of empowerment and passing the torch to the next generation. I'll just go quickly to the 3 groups, and then we're gonna cross live to LA. We're really excited, but to start off with, we're gonna hear from Georgia Van Kylenberg, her amazing platforms, Arts Bridging the Gap, live in LA. After that, after the LA, we're gonna go to St. Louis and the amazing Dr. Marty K. Casey and the Ungun Institute, and she's got some young leaders who are having a huge impact in the work of Ungun in St. Louis and around America and around the world. And then we go to Tezekiah Gabriel from Pathways to Peace, who's got amazing youth leaders to introduce us to as well. So right across the spectrum here, we're going to be enjoying and appreciating this conversation. It is interactive. If you're in the Zoom at different points, you'll be able to put your hand up and make a comment or make a question. So really, without further ado, we got connected to Georgia Van Kylenberg through Purpose Earth, as we have been connected to so many. And ever since then, Georgia, we've been doing a bunch of different projects together. We crossed yesterday during the World Unity Week opening ceremony to see your amazing Art Takes Flight program. And you had a whole bunch of youth there painting the plane and beautifying his Learjet, which was amazing. So now you've got some youth that you work with and that are part of your program live with you in your beautiful living room in Los Angeles. So Georgia and to everybody there in LA, guys, welcome, and over to you.
Hi, Ben. This is so fun. I've got some of my favorite people joining me today, so I just feel very lucky. I guess I'll do a quick introduction for you all. I'm so grateful for you all joining. I've been watching people logging in, and I'm just going to turn us down a little bit so we don't get any echo right now. But one of the really important and magical things is that so many of you are tuning in to learn and listen from the leaders of, I think, our present, but also our future. And we're going to have Cruz joining us any second. Come on in. Perfect timing. Quickly about where I do most of my work is through Arts Bridging the Gap here in LA. And we use arts education and high-level arts experiences to help young people heal their trauma, to express themselves, to experience what makes them who they are. And so often young people don't get a chance to experience that. And I think also so many young people don't get given resources or opportunities or a sense of confidence that they can do everything that they're capable of. And so we endeavor to do that in our world. But I think also part of why I'm sitting on this couch today with Anais and Cruz, come and sit down. My young people is, you can sit right there, that's perfect, is that honestly, oh, okay, he's gonna be on the couch? Okay, perfect, yeah, come on in. All right. I love it.
Late to the party.
Even closer. Hi, congrats on your shoot today.
Nice to meet you.
To finish that thought up, part of why I get to sit on the couch today is, I mean, we all have a purpose in life, Purpose Earth being, you know, a testimony to that. And for me, mine is young people. I think what's funny about what you said earlier, Ben, is that we are the mentors. And I think a lot of us never feel like we stopped being youth. And sometimes it's hard for me to get my head around the fact that I'm no longer a youth. But I think being able to take our lives and say it's now time for us to use what we've learned and what we've experienced and give that to young people and say, like, I'm here for you, and I want to do anything I can to make sure that your world is everything that you could wish it to be. And nothing makes me happier to do that. So when Ben and I started imagining today, it was about putting the thoughts and the words and the power in the good way in the hands of young people. So I have two of them here today with me in LA, and I'm excited to connect with the young people over in St. Louis and around the world. I'm so glad there's a third group. That's so fun. So if it's okay with you, we might get started. And the format is kind of a equal sharing across all three, and then seeing where we find our moments of connection. So I might start off with we thought it might be interesting to hear just one thing that you think is an important part as a sense of introduction to your identity. Like, what is a story? What is a part of your world that you think is important for people to know? And because Anais has been prepared with that question, she can go first.
Yeah.
Cruz came off a shoot today, which is kind of amazing. At the last minute, he got a job. He's an actor. So I'm so glad that his mom could bring us now and have him join us at the last minute. So Annie, if you want to start with maybe an introduction of who you are and something that makes you unique and special in your own way.
So that's my name.
Yeah.
All right, so my name is Anais. I'm 17 years old, and I come from immigrant parents. They both came from Oaxaca in 1999. So I see something unique about me is that all my motivation, inspiration, all my love and happiness comes from my parents, because all the struggles they've been through. So they really push me, and I just really want to make them happy. So yeah, so all my motivation just comes from them.
Beautiful. Thank you. Cruz, I'm going to throw you in.
Throw me in under the bus. My name is Zola Cruz, and I feel one thing that's a big, something that screams me is definitely my parents too. Because, parents are parents and have been there for us through our whole life, taking care of us. And I don't feel like we appreciate that enough once we grow up. And I do, or at least I feel I do, but I feel like many people take that for granted. And I want to make my parents proud, make them happy, have fun together. And another thing that screams me is I want to be a winner. Everything I do, I want to go in 100%, win it, go big or go home.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
I'm going to jump in and just share something that's extra special about you and your journey, especially because, for me, Anais, the thing that she wants to become an immigration lawyer. And I think that's such a super cool thing that I've known you from being little and watching your parents' journey. And now you want to help others in their journey of similar through your empathy, your deep empathy. And I think also for you, Cruz or Zola Cruz, whichever, are you Zola? Are you Cruz? Are you both? It's a wonderful identity. Is that you came from Uganda? And how many? Was it 3 years ago now? Coming up
four and a half, maybe. Wow. Yeah.
And you've created a whole new life for yourself.
Oh yeah, that was a hard restart. Actually, how did I forget that? It was a hard restart, resetting life, basically. Move. I had to get used to smaller spaces. Back home, we used to have a big football pitch, basketball, and all that. And I would never spend a day bored. And, when we moved here, it's just been more smaller space, finding new friends and, culture shock kind of ish. And, just restarting.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
You've done a good job of it, I got to tell you.
Thank you.
So we're going to jump in with our 3 questions. Anais and I worked on these earlier. They came from her. That was parted today. You would have got to, but we didn't get to have you before. So just know that we were thinking of you and what you might want to ask. And these are going to be your 3 questions to just throw out some quick answers, because we're limited in our time, unfortunately. If I had my way, the whole week would just be you 2. But I think let's answer these questions just with a thought. And then we'll throw these questions out to the other youth in the other parts of the world that we're talking to today. So the first question, what will the leaders of our future need to be like?
Go first.
So I think the leaders have to be very empathetic and they have to see like both sides of the story. Like you can't just focus on one part because there's always like two sides to each story. Also open-minded, very open-minded and eager to learn new things because you can't move forward without learning, So I think they have to be open-minded, open to learn new things, and just very empathetic. So yeah.
This is why I wanted them to run the whole week. Okay.
All right. I'm going to speak in terms of Generation Z, of my generation. I feel like we need to learn, our futures will need to be stronger than we are today. And, know when to say no and know when to say yes. Because I feel like right now, our generation gets pushed around sort of easily by our fellow generation members. So I feel like our generation will need to definitely, be more stronger on yes and no's, but still be empathetic and like know when to add that in and just see both sides of the story and can like literally put yourself in the other shoes and try to be a mediator, like see it from a third person point of view. Like what would someone else think if they saw what was, going on, and really just get aspects of the whole point of view, whole 360.
I love it.
Yeah.
So interesting, right? That concept of being able to know your self-worth boundaries. That's something that so few of us are taught when we're young, is to take care of yourself within the work that you do. And I think that is such an important piece of information that every young person should like have the class in self-love somewhere in like 5th grade or something. Beautiful. Next question. If we don't create real change, where do you see this world being in 10 years?
I would say I don't see it going on the right path if we don't create change in 10 years or create change now, because we're already like not going down the right path as of now. So if we don't do anything to change it, I just don't think anything will get better. I'm talking like the sense of climate change. I just think the world will not get better if we don't do anything when it comes to climate change. I think it'll just like all get really worse. But that's why we have to create change. So like everything gets better.
Yeah.
Good call. Yeah.
We need to start change like right now. We claim we're going to do change and then it never really happens. So I feel like we need to start really getting down to the actual business that we claim we're going to do. Actions speak louder than words. But in 10 years, if we don't fix up on even simple things every day, like just being more considerate and just processing things more before we do something or say something more, just it starts from there. And then that habit of like being more considerate. Like if someone walked up to me, I smile back. I could have probably made their day, and if you build like a good habit like that, it will build on you'll be more responsible naturally, and it will just sort of build good habits for you. And if you build good habits, you probably have people that look up to you. They're probably going to pick up on your good habits, and it's just like follows on along. So we need to start on that now.
Yes, my heart is bursting with love for you both. The little things are so big, and that's all we need, really, if we all just took those little steps.
Big painting is really just small strokes of the brush, done and done over again to create a beautiful masterpiece. So
what he said. What he said. Okay, the third question. Sometimes it is hard to get older / other people to understand the problems in the world. What can we do to overcome those challenges?
I would say just like making the problems we have, what's the word I'm trying to find? Like making it a big deal. Like we need to make everything such a big deal. Like make it over dramatic, because that's what it is. Like all these problems in the world we have to like let people know what's going on. Because if we don't tell them what's going on, they won't know. I guess just like teaming up with other people, like I would say like, I don't know, just like talk, like just spreading the word so everyone like understand what's going on.
Yeah. I think just to jump in, I'm not a big fan of anger as a concept because I think it replaces pain and sadness but passion, not anger, but like that sense of urgency,
Yes.
passion, numbers of people speaking up. I think that feels right in what you're saying.
I think passion is the main emotion of life, to be honest. Because with passion, if you really are passionate about something, you're gonna feel all emotions in that and controlled emotions though. But back to the question, I do feel like we have to really emphasize, like she said, emphasize things and try changing perspective to get people to really understand what we mean. Because there's some people that maybe not understand, like they don't understand what and how exactly big this issue is until we change it into perspective that they could understand, like not just one-way thing or two-way thing, like really help them understand the issue and emphasize it. Because there's big issues in the world, but if we don't make them big issues, they're not going to be big issues, but they are. So
such a powerful thing you said within there of all the powerful things is it's no good trying to communicate it the way you understand it if they don't. Right. And that's such a beautiful part of empathy is to not only put yourself in someone else's shoes, but listen from their perspective and be able to talk to them. So often we tell people what we think, thinking that should be enough. So good. Okay. We're going to ask St. Louis to join us so that we can turn to Marty and her team of young leaders and basically hopefully recreate the same situation over there.
Wow. Well, first of all, how impressive. Georgia, is so good to be here with you and your dynamic youth. And I'm excited to have three of my youth leaders here today. I have Joseph, and I have Deja, and I have Amani. And so I'm going to show them real quick. That is Amani. Amani is 23, and Amani is going to be speaking on behalf of her being ungunned personally. And I also have Joseph. If you come into the frame here, Joseph, I have let's see. Let's get you on this other side here. We're sorry. We don't have a big camera crew here with us today. So let me see, this way. Which way do we need to go? No. There we go. That way. Okay, here we go. We're gonna do it like this. We have Joseph. Joseph turned 23 yesterday, and he is a father for the first time. So he's celebrating Father's Day today, and his little baby is here at the house, and you're going to be hearing from him. And Joseph is actually one of my first youth that I worked with that I ungunned, but it was through my nonprofit, Show Me Arts Academy. But Joseph is still with me today, and you'll understand why when we get to speaking about what ungun is and how it works. Then I also have with me Deja. Yes. And Deja is actually 19, and she is one of the youth that I have worked with in the schools. I am the first African-American woman to have an anti-gun violence program in the St. Louis public schools. Unfortunately, after a shooting occurred back in November of 2022, where a teacher's life was lost along with a student, and it was a prior student who actually returned to the school to actually commit the crime. And so Ungun Institute, we are truly a trauma response organization and company that is really shining the light, if you will, on individuals' trauma, because we understand that hurt people, healed people, heal people. So we grew up hearing that first part of the hurt people, but where was the solution? So I added the solution of healed people, heal people, and that is how Ungun Institute was birthed. After the unrest of Ferguson, I could truly tell that there were many youth, not just in the Florissant area or even in the St. Louis area, but around the world was impacted by that particular event of the unfortunate death of Michael Brown. And my goal was to gather as many students or many youth as I possibly could to give them a different a different perspective of using their voices for good by tapping into the arts through music and dance and DJ engineering and theater and you name it. And I was able to raise money to take these youth to Washington, D.C., New Jersey, and New York so that they could perform and be empowered through their own voices. The first person that I'm going to have to come up and speak to you is going to be Joseph. And Joseph is going to share with you a little bit of his backstory. All three of them will share their backstories. It's going to sound a little bit different than what you've just heard. So I want to make sure that everyone is prepared to hear some really hardcore things, if you will, because if we're going to get to the bottom of what these youth need, we have to really understand what the youth have actually experienced. And we have to hear it from their perspective and their understanding emotionally. So at this time, I'm going to have you switch, Deja. I'm going to have Joseph come right there and you go around. And Joseph, if you can go ahead and share a little bit of your backstory.
All righty.
Oh, we can't hear.
We lost sound there, Marty.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, hello, my name is Joseph Davis. I am currently 23 years old, but when I first started working with Dr. Marty, it was actually, I believe I was a sophomore in high school. And I was basically inside the arts. I did a lot of participating in different theater. I was basically inside the theater world. I did a lot of performing. I did a lot of singing and things like that. And I actually met Dr. Marty competing in a competition. And we kind of went past and, you know, kind of met each other and everything like that. And, you know, we had some really positive words to speak about each other. Fast forward, I ended up, maybe some months after that, I ended up getting into a car crash that was fatal for one person. And it was extremely traumatizing for the other three passengers that were inside the car crash as well, because they sustained a lot of different injuries and everything of that nature. And I lost all feeling and hope of wanting to be a part of the things that I was really, really passionate about at first. I felt a lot of guilt. I felt as if there was something that I could have changed or done different to possibly keep us from going down that road that day, or, you know, stopping them from speeding that day, or, you know, just something that I could have done to prevent it. So I kind of blamed myself for a lot of the things that happened in that situation. But I believe when Dr. Marty reached out to me and she reached out to my family, and we were able to basically be a part of Show Me Arts Academy, and we were able to start expressing ourselves, or at least myself, I was able to express myself through the arts. It made me fall in love again with everything that I eventually kind of lost grasp of. And I till this day, I still have a very, very strong passion for music. I still have a very, very strong passion for media and all around anything that has anything to do with the arts. I am well versed in. So I really, really, yeah, that's kind of like my backstory as far as working with Dr. Marty. And yeah.
So do you feel like it healed you?
I do. I think like I said, I think the biggest part with me was just the guilt. It felt like I was, it's almost as if I felt as if I lost control that day, because something happened that was completely out of my control. So much so that once I was able to tap back into the arts, and I was able to tap back into my singing and playing the piano and things like that, it almost felt as if I was reassuming control of my life and the things that I was really, really into.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much, Joseph. And I'm sure we're going to have a chance to come back to Joseph to answer some questions. I'm going to now introduce you to Amani, who is also 23. And Amani has personally experienced being ungunned.
Hello, everyone. My name is Amani Holmes, and I am 23 years old. I met Dr. Marty earlier this year at a time where it was a high. She called me in the midst of being very angry. I was at my utmost high, and I definitely did not want to speak with her, as she mentioned. When she originally called me, I told her, ma'am, I do not want to speak to you. I am not in a place to be in a therapy session at the moment. But as I sat down, or not sat down, but as I walked around on the phone with her and just unraveled everything that was going on emotionally, mentally, I was able to regroup myself and really understand what is the root of all of my pain, what is the root of my hurt, and ungun myself. So that's my
And
story.
what art process do you use to help to stay ungunned?
I like to listen to music, and I also like to journal. Those are the two ways that I like to release, and I like to act as well. I was in theater in high school, and I also pursued it in college. And being able to put myself in a character's shoes who is similar to my experience, it really helped me to think thoroughly about how I can better myself and how I can better communicate how I feel.
Would you recommend Ungunned to others?
Yes, I would. Definitely.
Now you would.
Yes, now I would.
Now
yes.
she would. At first, not so much. And then last, I would like to introduce you to Deja. Deja is 19, and we had an opportunity to meet Deja in one of the schools, who also had a very similar experience to Amani, where she didn't want to have no parts of Dr. Marty and Ungunned, but then you'll hear what happened.
Hi, my name is Deja. I'm 19. I was about 15. I had got shot in the front of my house with my mom. It was a lot. It was a lot of going on at the time. I was pregnant. I was 9 months. I got shot 5 times. I had to be rushed to the hospital. I lost my mom on a Friday. I got shot on a Wednesday. It was a lot of trauma during that time because all I thought about when I lost my mom was, I don't need nobody, wasn't in this and that. Everything was going in one ear, coming out the other. And when I lost my mama and school started back, I was still pregnant at the time. I had to go back with a lot of anger because it wasn't nobody there for me. Since then, when I was in school, my freshman year, I used to fight a lot. And from my freshman to my senior year, I fought. It was a lot going on through those past 4 years. From losing my mom to almost not graduating, to almost not going to prom because of fighting and anger and just not being a lot. It's just like, it wasn't nobody there for me. And so then when I lost my mom, I just had a lot going on. I didn't want to talk to nobody. That's when Dr. Marty had came in. And boy, I tell you, Dr. Marty changed my life. I highly recommend her 10 out of 10 to anybody. I'm telling you, she will tell you the truth. Nothing holding back. I really can say she changed my life because fighting was not for me. I didn't want to fight. I didn't want to do a lot of things. I really want to be somebody in life. I want to go places, travel, take my baby around. But sitting her with Dr. Marty is a good experience, having a lot going on now.
And what is the one thing that you learned to do? What has helped
Stop,
you?
breathe, and think. I learned that. I had to do that a lot.
So thank you, Deja. Thank you, Amani, and thank you, Joseph. As you can truly hear is that the youth here in St. Louis, like most of us, we all have experienced some form of trauma. I don't think there's anyone that's exempt without trauma. but what is connected with these youth, they didn't have a way of dealing with it. And so you don't always have a therapist available to you or able to go see a trauma doctor. But through Ungun Institute, we have been able to reach the youth in ways and places where they have not been able to be reached before. And what I am truly blessed by is that this could be 3 young people right now that could have fallen through the cracks because of their trauma, but instead they have been blossoming and growing like a bouquet of flowers. Joseph has a child, Deja has a child, and trauma is transferable, and so is healing. So we're happy to know that their trauma is not being transferred to their children now, but now their healing is. I'm Dr. Marty with Ungun Institute in St. Louis, and it's been an honor and a pleasure to be here today.
Amazing. Can you hear me, Marty?
I can.
Amazing. I just started typing in the questions. We'd love to hear and thank you to all 3 of you for sharing your honest stories. And it just means so much to us. So thank you that you're willing to be vulnerable like that. That's how we create a new future, I think, is through being honest about where we've come from, like you said, Marty. So we would love to hear from you 3, if you don't mind. The first question is, what will the leaders of our future need to be like? We'd be curious to hear what you have to say.
Okay, and so my question to you, Georgia, because we may not have time to answer all 3 questions, which question would you like for my group to answer so that we can make room for the 3rd group that has taken time to be here today?
I love your mindfulness, Marty. Not my decision to make, I think. I'm going to turn it over to which of the 3 questions would you most like to hear?
Or would you like for them, would you like them to answer 1 each?
Yeah. Oh, that's a great idea. Good choice. I love that. That's what we call getting
so go ahead with the first question.
cookies.
Fire away.
Okay, so the first question for whoever wants to take it is, what will the leaders of our future need to be like?
All right, I'm going to start with Deja. Deja, because I was a leader coming into your school and you didn't have anyone before that. So the question is easy. What do the leaders need to be like in order to help someone like you in the future?
I would say anybody. It could be anybody. You never know. You could run into, I'm trying to think. You could run into a homeless man. You never know. He can bless your day just by looking at you or saying, hey, hi. I could be a blessing. My baby could be a blessing. Dr. Marty, Joseph, anybody can be a blessing to you because you never know. God gonna always surround you with good people.
Wow. I like that answer. I'll tell you why I like that answer that Deja just gave, because I think that is actually one of the mistakes I believe that we continue to make around the world, is that we keep thinking that a leader should look a certain way, sound a certain way, be in a certain place. Mm-hmm. And we need to understand that anyone can be a leader. And we just have to give them an opportunity to lead from the space that they're most familiar with. And so thank you, Deja, for that answer. That was beautiful.
Yeah, we're all like nodding profusely over here.
I know, that was good. I love it. All right, what's that next question?
Yeah, if we don't create real change, where do you see this world being in 10 years?
All right, Amani, you ready for that one? Mm-hmm. If we don't create real change, where will the world be in 10 years?
If we don't create a change, the world will be more hurt, more pain, more anger, less people wanting to heal from within, get to the root of the cause, and not communicating to people how they want to be loved, how they want to be communicated, and being vulnerable. And not being vulnerable is how I see the world.
Wow. Oh my goodness, I'm just loving them even more and more. Thank you so much for having us on this platform, Georgia. That was such a good answer, Amani. I want to bring a little bit of context to that. Next year, Ferguson will be 10 years. It's been 10 years since Michael Brown was shot and killed in the streets. And I just want you to just think about it for a minute. How far have we moved that needle? what changes have we really made in the last 10 years, socially and politically and racially? Are we getting better? Are we moving in the right direction? We had 10 years to get it right. Then there was George Floyd. We've had 10 years to get it right. So to Amani's point, those things will continue to be a problem. And I think we're running out of time. So good question. All right, the last question is for Joseph.
Beautiful. And thank you so much. Something, so I feel you completely. Sometimes it is hard to get older / other people to understand the problems in the world. What can we do to overcome those challenges?
Whew.
I truly believe that if wiser people, I don't necessarily want to say older, but wiser people, if they would kind of self-reflect and really hone in on, at one point in time, I was the youth. And at one point in time, I was the less wiser person. At one point in time, I was the less guided person. It will open so many doors where they can kind of open up their patience a little bit more, open up their understanding a little bit more to understand, at some point I was in this exact same place that this person was in. I think the older we get, the more we feel as if, the less learning we have to do and the less understanding we have to be the older we become. But I truly believe that, development is always in process, and it should always be in process no matter your age. So, I think if people were to kind of put themselves in their younger shoes, sometimes we may be able to bridge that gap a lot better.
Wow.
Beautiful.
Wow, well, there you have it. We've heard from the youth. And I think, again, an amazing answer. I could just leave it at what they said, but I do want to say this, being an ambassador and an advocate for the youth, one of the things that I believe all of us can do, those who are over 40 years old and up, I'm 52, I'm not, and I'm okay with saying that because this is what I feel like we need to do. If you are 40 and up, you need to have a mentor that is 39 and under. And if you are a younger person, you need to have a mentor that's 40 and up. We can't keep looking at the only person can mentor is the seasoned individuals in age. The world is moving so fast and it's being created by our younger people. They're the ones that's really creating a lot of these things and devices we're using today. We need young mentors. So let's normalize that today. Let's normalize that right now. For World Unity Week, Dr. Marty said it here first. We, 40 and up, find you a mentor that's 39 and below.
Yes, and so now, Marty, with that being said, we have one last group of people to turn to, I believe.
Yes.
Ben, do you want to introduce the third group?
Oh my gosh. Yes. I want some of those youth mentors. These are absolutely amazing.
I have two great options for you, Ben.
Thank you. And I agree with you, Georgia. We could have a whole week dedicated to the voices that we've heard today, the amazing youth in St. Louis and there in Los Angeles as well. It's been really enlightening and uplifting and inspiring and educational, actually, just to hear some of the wisdom and some of the grace that's been shared today by these young leaders. This is wow, absolutely beyond even our best expectations. So thank you so much to everyone who shared so far. We're going to bring in our dear friend from Pathways to Peace, Tezekiah Gabriel, who's got another bunch of amazing young leaders here in the room to share. So let's get Tez in here, and we're going to hear some of the from some of the extraordinary youth leaders from Pathways to Peace.
Yes, thank you. And just let me say, oh my goodness, my heart is so full. And to all of our next generation peace builders who've already spoken, you are champions. Oh my goodness. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So I'm going to try to talk as little as possible so that I can give our 4 youth that we have with us today more time to tell their stories, but I will introduce them. So I'm Teskaya Gabriel. I am the executive director from Pathways to Peace, and Pathways to Peace is a UN peace messenger organization. So we work at the UN and beyond. And but and they